Hi guys! Today I will be quickly reviewing the concepts centered around resolution, image size, file format, and so on and so forth. We'll be doing that in relation to files that already exist and then also creating new files. So if you will recall, there is information that you can find simply by opening your document and then looking at the tab. Okay, and you'll see here that this is titled Ducky and it's a TIFF. You'll also find that I'm looking at it at a zoom of 100% and that it's currently in a color mode of RGB. To find more information on this file, I can come up to Image, Image Size, and I can see the size of this particular piece of artwork in both inches. So it's 6.944 by 7.583, and also in pixels, 500 pixels by 546. Okay. Both of these are in relation to image size. Remember, inches are more appropriate if we will be printing this out. Pixels are more appropriate if we are saving this document or file for use on something like a website, a blog, some kind of digital application. The next thing that you can find here is the resolution. Okay, the resolution here is 72 pixels per inch. Remember, 72 pixels per inch, again, is appropriate for any kind of digital application. It's a low resolution, but digital applications that partner with screens that can improve the appearance of images work really well with a low resolution. Remember, things that are going to be printed should be sized ideally at 300 pixels per inch, but you can go as low as 150 pixels per inch. Okay, so that was two pieces of information immediately. Again, image size and resolution. Remember, you can see your color mode here, but if for any reason you wanted to double check it or you wanted to change the mode, you can come up to image mode and you'll see the choices like RGB, CMYK, grayscale. Next, if I wanted to see the file format, of course, I can see that it's a TIFF here, but if I needed to save it as something else, I would come up to File. You're going to need to do a Save As because you want to control what kind of file format it's being saved as going forward. And you will get this dialog box indicating, again, the name. I can go ahead and say maybe this is an updated version of my Ducky, so I want to make sure that I have the original and I want to be able to quickly see that this has been updated in some capacity. So I can change the name. I can control where this is going to be saved to. Okay, you can navigate to wherever is appropriate for you. And then most importantly here, you're going to see the different file formats. Okay, again, it's defaulting to TIFF because that's what it was when I opened it. If I were to open up this drop down, you'll see I can scroll in both directions, although it's fully open now. And you'll see a number of different choices. Okay, last week we talked about JPEG files. Okay, when you use a JPEG here, you're going to want to use just the simple regular JPEG. Okay, you also see that you have options for a Photoshop PDF document. This is what you would be saving this as if you were going to be sending this off for print. And then if you wanted to ensure that you had your PSD file, okay, remember the PSD file is the version that's going to retain all of the information separately. So if I have 18 layers, it will make sure that those 18 layers are kept separately and not compressed. So I'll go ahead and choose that. And you'll see when I change that file format, okay, that extension here is going to change to match it. Now, if you're on a PC, you will see Photoshop, and it's usually in parentheses .psd, so it's really, really clear to my PC users what file extension is going to be applied. Okay, my Mac users, that's not the case, and you've got to remember that Photoshop's native file format is a PSD, and just be sure to double check it when you make that selection. Come up here and just double check and say, okay, yep, that is going to save as I expect. Okay. You will see in the module that there is an exercise around this process. And so you're going to be doing this exact process, identifying image size, the color mode, so on and so forth for 4 different images. Okay, and I hope this was enough information on the first image to help you identify the same information for the following images. Okay. The next thing that you'll find that you need to do in Photoshop often is that you just need to create a new document. You need to start fresh. And so to do that, you can either go straight up to File and New, okay? Or you can go ahead and close out your Ducky if you know you're done with your Ducky. And then at this point, File, New, and you'll see that you get your new document dialog box. There's a lot of information within this window, and yours, the first time you open this, may look different than mine does. Again, you can see obviously here in the background, I have a bunch of different files I've worked with. Again, this may look a little bit different as well. Now, what I want you to do is to always start here at the top, okay? Because this is sort of a little shortcut here. So for instance, if you know you're going to be putting something on the web, if you were to click Web, you'll see that the information here under Preset Details changes for you, okay? So again, if we're doing something for web, we're gonna work with 72 ppi, and we're likely using pixels. Versus if I know I'm gonna be printing this out, it's going to change to inches, and it's going to change the resolution for me, okay? But you may find that, you know, maybe this is just a working file and you have a preference and you wanna set this manually. Feel free, you can come in here and make the changes that you need to. So when I teach, I usually use a 10 by 10 document, okay? And by 10 by 10, I definitely mean inches. Okay, if I were to create this in pixels, it would be a tiny, tiny little white square. Okay, 10 inches by 10 inches will ensure that that's the size that I want it to be. Orientation refers obviously to portrait and landscape. And since I've opted to create my width and height at the same measurements, it's going to create a square, so I don't really need to consider that. I will talk about artboards in Illustrator, so I'm just going to skip that for the time being. And again, because this is just a working document, I'm going to change this to 72 pixels per inch. Okay, again, if I left this at 300 and I wanted to save it, it's going to ensure that the file size is a great deal larger. And since it's just a working file, I don't need it taking up that much space on my hard drive. Okay. Again, for the same reasons, I'm going to choose RGB. Okay. But you'll see if you open this up, the options that you expect are here. And then you have this choice for background contents. If you open this up, you'll see that it looks like you only have access to white, black, and background color. But if you scroll, you'll see that you have this option for transparency. I'm going to go ahead and create the first one at white. And I'm going to hit create, and you'll see what that looks like. Okay. I personally like to use a white background because it just sort of feels like a white piece of paper. Okay, if I were to draw something pen to paper, it would be a white piece of paper. However, just to illustrate the difference, I'm going to go to File and New and do it one more time. And this time opt for that transparent background. And if I hit create, you're going to know that it's transparent because you're going to see this white and gray checkerboard in the background. Okay. All right, so again, I've covered all of the basic information related to your images, both for files that already exist and as we create new files. You have a practice assignment under modules. It's entitled something like Exercise and Files. I want you to work through that and just ensure that you feel comfortable identifying all of the information, that you can save your files correctly, that you understand how to navigate to where your files are and you're placing them all in the same place and using good naming conventions. It's just an exercise, so you don't need to email them to me, but I do trust that you'll take the time to work through those tasks. Again, these exercises are intended to ensure that you learn the material and can move on successfully to the next round of content.